For the second day of the workshop, we begin with playing through a piece of music called Michael and Linda that's written for the dance Heartwood. And I'm talking a little bit about the pitfalls that you might run into when you're seeing a piece of music for the first time. Things to scan for, key signatures and of that sorts. So here's where the video begins. Okay, so I look for treacherous potential pitfalls, right? You know, I'm going to sight read this. Okay, it doesn't look too hard, but what are these things? Oh my gosh, there's a note that's like held over a bar line, and then there's 16th notes. God, what do I do with 16th notes? Okay, all right. So I'm gonna like flag those places ahead of time just to get used to. And then, I mean, if you're a great reader, you don't have to worry about this. I am not a great reader. Okay, so I scan everything. No accidentals. That's good. That means I can keep it all in the key of D. Are there any big jumps? That's the other thing I look for. Lots of big jumps. Okay, so you have to sort of think, where am I going from place A to place B? Is my hand actually going to be able to span them? There's some Scottish fiddle tunes that have 2 octave jumps in them, you know? And when I sight read these tunes, I go, oh yeah, looks good. And then I get to this point, like, crash on the wrong note. Okay? So I think about it ahead of time a little bit.
Also dissonances.
Dissonances. Okay.
Where the note isn't in the chord.
Oh, okay, so again, you're looking at the chord structure. Yeah, okay, so those are things like, oh, I'm going to be dissonant. If you know my tunes, you'll know that that's going to happen anyhow, and so you won't be surprised. And if you don't know it, then, you know, that might be a surprise. Does everybody have the music? Did anybody need a copy of this stuff? All right, so let's play through the...
I have one more. I haven't heard it. It doesn't fit on my instrument.
Does it fit on your instrument?
It doesn't fit on my instrument.
Does it fit on your instrument?
This one, no.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Shoot.
That's okay.
I was trying to make sure that everything was above middle C.
Let me say this differently then. Yes, I play it on the soprano. I never play waltzes on a soprano because they hurt Melissa's ears.
Melissa's not here.
That's true.
That's not relevant. Melissa's a very important person.
Am I gonna have to shift?
Right, okay, instrument-specific things, like, you know, it's like, can it fit on your instrument? Am I going to have to do a wicked shift? Are there, like, lots of nice, terrible string crossings? I do tend to write terrible string crossings. So let's just play through it a little bit. Now that you sort of had a chance to scope it out, had a chance to look at it maybe yesterday, we'll play through it a few times, okay? And remember, the ultimate goal for this session is to be doing things besides the melody. So you've got to get the melody in our head first before we get comfortable doing those other things, right?
So we're only playing the melody.
Yeah, just play the melody. If you feel like you've got the melody in your head and you're used to it, start experimenting around with some other things that you might want to do, okay? Feel free to do that. We don't all need to be playing melody, but just make sure that you're getting the melody in your head. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go! Very nice, okay, so if I'm making wallpaper, the very simplest, yes, oh, no. The very simplest wallpaper you can do is look at those chords and play the roots, okay? Play the roots for every time there's a chord change, go to a different note, okay? Let's just do that. I'll pick the melody. I want you all to try that, okay? Wait. I need a designated melody player. Okay. So what I'd like for y'all, I'd like for you guys to play melody for a while. Okay. Everybody else, just experiment finding the roots of the chords and see what that's like as a wallpaper. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1. Straightforward for everybody? Yeah?
It's not straightforward for me.
Okay.
I'm going to be struggling.
Okay, all right. So if you see a D chord above you, and then just to play a D, for example, is that
often play it.
Oh no, just
Sometimes play it.
But so like when you're tracking the chords, like
I can see.
you can see the D and I can switch the G and you can do okay. Right.
Not necessarily play.
Oh, okay, all right.
Skill level is less than 3.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. So that would be like the first step. Okay, now let's make it a little bit harder. What I want you to do is take the same thing. Take a group here, and then from all you people on this side over. Okay, I'm going to make a bigger group. Okay, I want you to play the melodies again, the same thing, but I want you to find the 5th of the chord. Okay, right? Find out what the fifth. What if you see a D chord? What's the fifth? G chord. What's the fifth? D chord. We've already done that one. E minor. D. Okay, so I'm going to have you do that. You'll have 8 bars and we'll switch. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Look at anything you want and just try to go like, oh, chords, I'm going to try to track the fifth of this whole thing, okay? I want to give us a little bit longer time to work on that, okay? Because it's a good skill to work on. But first, I want to see if we can do the thirds, okay? Right? Okay? So I'm going to let you do the third now, okay? And I want this group to start with melody. Take 16 bars, okay? Try to find the thirds of all these chords. The thirds of all those chords. And then we'll switch back and forth. And you guys try to find the thirds of those chords. Okay? 16 and switch. And I'll tell you when to switch. Okay? So if I say a D, what's the third? G. D. E minor. G. G. Good, good. This is really, you guys are going to be pros. Okay. Okay, so you're going to start on, what did I say, melody or? Third. Okay, so melody over here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, so what do you do when you see a chord that says D slash F sharp?
F sharp on the bass.
F sharp in the bass. So if you're finding the third of your chord, does the F sharp matter at all? No. I'm just voicing it that way for the bass player. Okay, so it doesn't matter what. If you see a chord that says A sus4, what is that? What is an A sus4 chord? What?
I'm going to play the chord.
Okay, so do people know what an A sus4 chord is? Okay. So normally if you make a triad, and let me just take the piano. So you make a triad, you're playing the first note, the third note of the scale, and the fifth note. Okay? That's the triad. Sus chords are made when you say, I don't care about the third chord, I'm going to play something else instead. So if it's an A sus4, you play the 4 instead of the 3. 2, 3, 4. There's the chord, okay? Okay? If you see an A sus2 chord, you play the 2 instead. 1, 2, ignore 3, and 4, and here's 5. And it sounds like this.
Is it always replacing the third?
Place the third, yep.
Okay.
Take the
So
third
it's
one.
always replacing the third.
Yep. So if you see a sus chord just and you're saying like, well, I would be tracking the third. Don't play the third because that's the sort of thing. That's a moving line that's built in. Something suspends for a little bit, hit the wrong chord, and resolves. And look what happens right after that A sus4 chord. It resolves right away to the A chord. And so if you're on the third, then try to play the 4 and then the 3 instead of just staying the 3. Yes?
I'm wondering about like the D slash F sharp. I thought maybe the other chord was like an alternate chord. It's not.
Well, so yeah, there's all sorts of different notation conventions.
Okay.
The standard one that I guess the one you'll see most in the United States is to have a chord and then if it has a slash line, it's that other thing is a bass note. Okay? And it has has to do with what you're going to voice it. So if this is your D chord, if you want to put it with the F sharp, that's the 1, 2, 3. See, it's the same chord, but it sounds really different because now the bass note is doing it. And I think a lot like a bass player, so I tend to put into a lot of my music these sort of moving bass lines to give it a sense. Right?
Because like the tonic says you're back home, and if you're not home, it's awful to just go back home when you could be playing the third or something else as the bass, so that you don't ever get back to that tonic note until the end of the phrase. Then it's at home.
Right, because it's not. Yeah, because you're not home.
But you don't want to do that until you get there.
Oh yeah. So there's a deal with the F sharp is not in the. It's in the middle of a phrase, sort of. Right? Okay. So that's his point. Is it kind of gives you a sense of motion, even though you're back to your root chord. Okay. All right. Any other questions about the notation and how to parse this as you're trying to find the third, the fourth? Yes.
I could be totally wrong about this. And so if, for my part, we have a C sharp written and the A chord over it. The third of the A is the C sharp. Is that right?
It is.
So if we're playing thirds, I'm just playing the third note.
You're
That
playing
I'm
this.
already supposed to be playing.
Where are you looking?
Third line,
Third line.
first and second measures.
First and second measures of the third
Yeah.
line. I need to look at the same first and second measures. Oh, see, hold on a second. Am I looking at the same thing you look at? Show me what you're doing.
I'm talking about here. I
Yeah.
have a C sharp written and an A chord.
Right.
And so the third of the A chord is the C sharp.
Is the C sharp? Yeah, it's already written. Yeah, because the third in this case was in the bass. All right. Okay. You want to practice tracking that again? Okay, let's practice the same thing again. Now that we've had the discussion about what these sus chords and stuff are, we'll do the same thing. We'll let you start with 16 bars and then we'll switch. 1, 2, 3, 1. Da, da, da. On the sus chords this time, which is really nice. Okay, that's just the way that they're all sound. So people, how many said, oh, I went from the 4 to the 3? Yeah? Yeah? Great. Okay, that's the sort of thing but this is the thing you might do. These are all wallpaper parts, and we've already gone through 3 of them. Play the roots, okay? Play the fifths. Play the thirds, or if it's not the third, a sus chord or something else, then play something that leads into it, okay? Those are all the first 3 wallpaper elements, all right? Okay. Now, if you're going to play that line, it doesn't sound like much of a line, right? It sounds like you're copying da 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 da, you know, like yo hee ho, walk around. So that's not very much of a line, and so really these are useful things. But the most useful way to take this as an idea for wallpaper is to try to say, oh, I can use the 1 for a while, the first note, the root note of the chord, and then for the second note, I might use something else. I might use the third note for that, and I'll have now a big jump, and then I might stay, oh, I'm on a B, but I'll now connect it to an A for the next chord. And so you make your own line, but using those notes. So for example, if I was to try to, can you play the melody for me, Carl? Let me just show you what I mean here. 1, 2, 3, 1. I'm going to start a root. 3, 1 root. And there's 3. So I made myself a little line using the different elements, using the root sometimes the third element, sometimes the fifth of the chord, and I can build my own thing. If you can make it so that it's all easier on yourself, if you say, I'm not going to even do it with big jumps. I'm going to say, let me start on, for example, the third of the D chord. Okay? So what's the third of the D chord? F sharp. F sharp, okay? next chord is a what? G. Okay, what's the closest note in the G chord? G. Okay, all right. And then the next chord after that is a D. And it's the next closest note is the F sharp again. And then what's the next chord? B minor. I'm already on one. I can just stay there. Okay. What's the next chord? A. Okay. A chord. I'm on a F sharp. It's not in the A chord. What's the next closest note I can get to? An E. An E. Okay. All right. So pick a note as a starting point. Okay. Any note in the D chord that you want. All right. It could be the D. It could be the F sharp. It could be the A. And try the game of proximity. Okay. Find a note that's close to that in the next chord that's coming up. All right. All right. And I'll just sort of hang out I want everybody to practice this all together instead of, or do you want to just do it with a melody, the same way we were just doing? Yeah. Let's do it the same way we did. Okay, you guys are on melody again. So 16 bars, and you guys will start with trying to find the proximity wallpaper, and then we'll switch again, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1. No melodies, okay? I had you all start on melody, right? No, I had you all start on melody. Okay. So just don't play the melody. I just want to hear their pad. This is their pad. Do the same thing you just did. Okay, but I don't want to hear any melody along with it, okay?
Are we playing anything? Or
don't play anything. And then we'll switch, and then we'll listen to you do the last 16 bars.
And we're doing the proximity thing.
Yeah, same thing you just did. I just want to hear it without the melody in the way now, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1. Nobody coordinated, oh, you take this note and you take this note. It's like it all just kind of naturally happened. Okay? If you find yourself in a situation where you are trying to make a pad like that with somebody else and you end up on the same note, you can either rejoice that you're playing together with somebody, or you can say oh, the next line, I'm sure that we're going to go in different directions, because sometimes you have choices as to which way you can go, right? And you'll eventually find a different choice, and your paths will walk along together for a while, and they'll diverge, and you'll do something else. Or you can decide, oh, I want to get way the heck away from this person, and I'm going to just take a big soaring leap and jump up to like another octave or a sixth away or something, and just find a different space where nobody else is. All these things you have control over and some choices in what you can make. But that's the fourth wallpaper idea, to find a proximity line that you can do. Okay? Is that clear to everybody? Sweet! That sounds excellent. Any questions? Okay, all right. Number 5. What happens when you see something like at the very beginning, where you've got a D chord and a G chord and a D chord next to each other? Sometimes often you'll find that you have 2 or 3 chords in a row that all have a common note. Okay? Use that sometimes to your advantage. You think, oh, I'm just sitting there on this one note. What note is common to the D chord and the G chord?
D.
D, okay. So supposing you say, I'm going to pick a D. Oh, now I don't have to make any choices for a long time. Okay? Then I'll get back to what do I have? It's like 7 bars in a row. And then what's the next chord after that? I have an E minor and an A. Are there any common chords in an E minor and an A? E. Okay, so I can now make one other choice, you know, and I can hold on to that one for another 3 bars. I've got instantly one line. But what do you do if you're just holding a note for a long time?
Rhythm.
You can do rhythm. Okay, we'll get to that. That's the next one. But another thing you can do is you can shape that note. Okay? Instead of just playing it like da da, and switching it, you can give it a shape and a dynamic. And so what I want you to try to do is to use the dynamics of this. Pick that D. Okay, we're going to do it again with melody and back and forth. We'll just do the first 8 bars. Okay. All right. So you're on melody, and I want you to play that D note, but give it some shape. And I know you can't. You're in like, oh no, poor percussion players. Oh, I hate that. Do the best you can. Sing if you'd like. Okay. All right. So yeah. Pianists do the same way, right? Put it on a different setting if you want. You know, you can put it. Use the volume. Use the volume pedal. Really, use the volume. Come on down. Right? But try to do that thing. Okay, so melody, and then we're going to listen to them on this D, and then I'll just stop. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Dynamic on that whole thing. I want you really to like to start almost like a whisper if you can. To the point that it feels like it's going to come down. Okay? You may have different ideas, and if that's the issue, then you know one person's loud will be one person's soft, and they'll all sound the same. And we'll do it one at a time then. Just an idea. Okay? Same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 1. That starts to feel like there's something growing, you know, there's this thing that's happening, you know, and it gives the whole thing so much more sort of like life and body and depth to it. Oh, now you jump, okay? Same thing, right? You're on melody. 1, 2, 3, 1. Did you hear what they did when they did this? They go, and then they have this nice little taper on the high note to come on down to the side. Give it a shape over the whole 8-bar line. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 1. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, that's really great. Use that in dances if you can. Yeah.
It helped me shape the melody. Like I found myself following it when I was playing melody.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Yeah, great, great. So if you keep your ears open, you hear what's happening with the other musicians in your band, and it will influence how you're doing things. That's great. That's what I was after. Okay, so perfect. There's lots of places throughout this. Be on the lookout for that. If you were to look at the second line,
You look at the first two chords, G and A, anything in common? No, you're hosed. Okay. You have to do something else. Anything in common between the A and the B minor? No, you're hosed. Okay, so you're gonna have to have a moving line at that point. Okay, but then you have a B minor and a D and a G. Guess what? They all three have the same note in common. There's a D that's in all three of those chords, and then another B minor chord, and then the A sus starts with a what? A sus4. Guess what? The third is the D. Okay, so if you make the second line here, something in the G chord, something in the A chord, and then play a D. You're good with that D all the way through until that sus4 ends and resolves. Okay. Now, right before you're resolving a chord, that is the poignant moment, right? Okay? So use that to inform what you're going to be doing with your line. Okay? You're going to be doing some type of crescendo or something to build up some sort of poignancy for that moment. Okay? I want you to start a melody. We're going to do the second line. And now I'm going to have you try to play those notes. Something in the G chord, something in the A chord, and then a D to resolve it at the very end. Okay? That makes sense? 1, 2, 3, 1. Do you hear that happen? Yeah, isn't that great? Isn't that great? Okay. All right, I want you all to try it on this side. Okay, the same thing. So we'll just switch. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Exactly. Okay. So this is the next idea that we're talking about. Finding notes. It's not based on proximity. It's finding common notes between chords. Okay. So you look at these chords. You say, "Oh, I've got a couple that I can hang on to for a while with the same note." And now instead of just playing a until it's over, I'm going to give the note some shape and some sort of internal life to the whole thing. If you're playing rhythmic things along with it, then that's easy even with a percussion instrument. Then you can start to put some dynamics into the music, which you can't do if you just hit a note and then you're like, okay, yeah, you know, my guitar has stopped ringing like 5 minutes ago and they're still on the same note. You know? Okay, so we'll get to the rhythm things a little bit more in a bit. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Another way you can look at these things with just long-held notes is to not look at the chords at all. Okay? But look at the key that the tune is in. This tune is in the key of D. And there's some safe notes that generally are going to harmonize with everything. They will create some dissonances because you can't find a single note that harmonizes with all the chords in the diatonic sequence. Okay? But the dissonances won't be terrible. Okay? And generally they'll be good. Now, who can tell me what notes you might want to play around with that? Tonic, okay. Any other ideas? So 1, 4, 5. Okay. So I'm going to do an experiment right now, and what I want you to do is to play the melody, and I want just a few people play the melody, just here. Okay. So you all play the melody here, and I want everybody else just to play the tonic. Okay, and play through a whole 16 bars where the chords are changing a whole bunch. Just play a tonic note and see how that harmonizes. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. No, it doesn't always work. Not always. What? Are you going to say something? No.
Sorry.
Right. Yeah, every time you do this, I think you're like reading. No, it doesn't always work. There's one place in particular that it seemed like it was really not working very well. and that was on the sus chord, because the sus chord so desperately wanted to resolve from the D that you were on into the C sharp, and it didn't, it just stayed on the D. Okay? I want you to try it with the fourth note of the scale. Okay? Okay? We'll switch. You guys get to try the fourth note of the scale, and you guys take the play the melody. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 1. Same thing, I want you to try with the fifth note of scale. Okay, what's that? It's A. Okay, try it again. 1, 2, 3, 1. I just divulged the magic trick, okay? Okay. There's a theory reason for why this works, okay? So where in this D scale do you have, I mean, if you were to play diatonic chords, okay, do you know what the diatonic chords are? If you were to play the D chord, the E minor chord, you're using all triads in the scale that you're in, okay? So D, E minor, F sharp, minor, G, A, B minor. I'm going to ignore the diminished chord at the end. But that's basically take all these triads in this thing. So if those are the chords you're probably going to be using in a key that doesn't have a bunch of accidentals. Okay? And if you look at this thing, all these chords are pretty much diatonic chords on there. They're all using stuff in the scale. Okay? Where do you have your widest interval? Like, if you're at a note, do you have any places in the scale where you're a whole step away from the next one below it, and a whole step away from the next one above it? There's only one place in the scale that happens. Okay? That's the fifth.
Wow.
That's the A. Okay? So you're never going to be more than a step away from the chord that you want if you're playing that A.
You could say you're never going to be less than a step away.
Oh yeah, you're never going to be less than so. Yeah, so it's always so. And what do these chords sound like with an A in? Okay, so here's the D chord with an A, and if I play an E minor chord with an A in it, that sounds pretty good. Here's an F sharp minor chord with an A in it. It's already in it. Here's the G chord with an A in it. Here's the A chord, it already has an A in it. Here's the B minor chord. That's a B minor 7 chord, it even has a name. Okay? Right, so it's okay. That 5 is a really magic thing, okay? Right? And so use that to your advantage. Shoot. Like if you're just exhausted from like, oh my god, I'm trying to do all these wallpaper things and I have no more brain cells left over, and what can I do? Oh, play the 5 chord. Play the 5 note of the scale, and it'll just kind of harmonize with just about everything. All right, magic here. All right, cool. Okay. All right. All right. I want to do some harmony exercises now. Okay. All right. And these harmony exercises are what can you do if you're doing harmony? I think one of the simplest things, and it's underrated in English country dance because everybody's so dang polite all the time, is to actually double the melody. Okay. And you can build up a fatness to the sound if you don't double the melody in the same range. If you can go an octave above or an octave below. Now, if you're playing a soprano recorder, you're already there, right?
You can't go anywhere else.
You can't go anywhere. But a lot of instruments have the capability of going down an octave to double the melody. Okay, and that's a really nice sort of variation that you can do. Okay, so. Are there any? What do you do with this tune if you're going to try to take it down an octave? Okay, it's like supposing you're playing a fiddle. Let's talk to the string players first. Da 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 da. Can you play the whole thing down an octave?
You don't have the
You probably have to fake a few notes. You have to fake a few notes. So what do you do? What do you do when you're faking a few notes? You play something else. Okay. Okay. So can I just get the string players over on this side of the string? Oh, you got a fiddle too. Great. Oh, great. So I need all you string players just play it, but I want can you play it up in the high octave? Okay. And then everybody else just play down below. And what are you going to do? How are you going to fade it? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1. Just practice a couple times. We'll just wait for a second. Just that phrase. Got it? Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1. Good. Okay, so what strategies did you hear there for playing stuff outside of your range? What did you hear? Was it always in unison? In octaves? No, it wasn't in unison. They can't play that F sharp, and so what did they substitute for it? An A. Well, at least Carl did it. What did you do?
I did.
You did an A? What did you do? When you got
Nothing.
That one? Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, let's hear that. Okay, let's hear the nothing. Let's hear the nothing. Can you two play together? 1, 2, 3, 1. That wasn't nothing. Can you do it without playing the A and just play the da 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 da? Don't play that. Just don't play that.
Rest on that one.
Okay. Try it again. Okay, the two of you. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay. To my ear, that sounds better. Okay? Because the whole point of trying things in octaves like this is to actually try to match the melody. Okay? And so if you just get out of range, just don't play. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. It's a perfectly legitimate melody, and you don't need that extra thing anyhow. So a lot of times you get in situations like this, feel free just to leave out some notes if they get out of your range. Okay?
So in this case, it's the offbeat. I feel bad about losing out the offbeat.
Well, don't. I mean, do you want to take a vote? Who thinks it sounds better with the A, and who thinks it sounds better with without the note? Without the note?
Let's hear the...
Oh, here I'm hoping. Okay. So play it first of all with the A, and then leaving the note out. 1, 2, 3, 1.
All right.
Yeah.
You win. Okay, too many A's.
Too many A's. Yeah. So I think it starts to sound something. But I mean, if you're not playing and trying to double somebody else on the note. So, but again, this is your job now as the quote second person, right? So somebody else is on the melody already.
Yeah.
If you find out that they're playing the melody straight, hey, I can just do the same thing, but I'll find different spots. Great little trick. Okay. You can play in unison the same way, and these are all things that we don't really need to talk about. Okay. Harmonies based on arpeggios. Okay, that's the next sort of thing to do. Okay, if you have those D chords, you got 3 notes in them, and so far we've been doing just simple, like a line just with one note. But you can, over the course of the D chord, you can switch things around. Okay, you can play different notes in that D chord. Okay, so instead of it being, for example, da da da. Here I'm on a D chord. That's just a simple line. And I'm making an arpeggio on some of those chords, okay? And that's another useful type of wallpaper thing to do, okay? I want you just to try it, and then we're going to do it in smaller groups so we can hear it, because it'll be very muddy when everybody plays together, okay? You just try that through a whole round. Try to arpeggiate some of these chords as much as you can, and we'll do melody for 16, and then the other group for melody. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1. some people are up on their, if this is hard, this is a thing you can practice at home, okay? You still like, oh, I see a D chord, ooh, I have to come up with an arpeggio. That's one of the things you can practice, okay? So you're comfortable and fast on it. You're very fast on your playing. Always, yeah.
Yeah, if I was sitting at a piano, I wouldn't have trouble at all. It's almost
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I have no trouble. Yes.
This, something that the arpeggios gets us completely away from is the ooh pop pop, which for me is death in a waltz.
Right.
And so the arpeggios take that out, which is lovely.
Okay. Good, good, good. So now the arpeggios they come with their own pitfalls. Okay. And that's what I want to get into next. And the only way we're going to be able to hear this is if we do it like in little groups. Okay. So what I'd like for you to do is like you take melody. Okay. And then I want you to do some sort of other line, just like 3 of them. Okay. At a time. 3 and 3. Okay. Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 1. Everybody else, okay? And then like you two take arpeggios, okay? I want to make it smaller groups. I want to make it so that I can really hear individual people in their idea, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1. So were you always starting every arpeggio on the roots?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's hard enough today.
Like that, okay? And playing every quarter note. Okay. And what were you doing?
I was doing double time.
You were double time.
Doubling that rhythm.
Play it for me, okay? So I can hear what you do. I think we have to do this one at a time. So we like 1, 2 on quarter notes. Play melody 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, right. Okay, so you got a fast arpeggios the whole way up. You're going all the way up and then coming down, going up. So he was just going up in quarter notes. And you know, Ken was going up and down in 8th notes. Other ideas? What would you like to try?
Well, I was doing more or less performance. I think
Okay. Anybody else that had a different idea when you were sort of like playing around? What were you trying?
I went down and up, and then I started with the third of it.
Then you started in the 3rd.
I started on the third of it.
Okay. What were you two doing? Oh, you were just playing melody, right?
I haven't tried it in a little while, but
Let's try.
I think
Let's do it right now. Can you play melody? Okay, you can just play out for that. Okay, and then you do it for a little bit, and then you do it for a little bit. We do one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 1. Where's that other note coming from? Is that, were you playing?
Accidentally.
Oh. I was thinking, how is she making this sound?
So was I.
Great! Great! What wonderful idea you had there.
I like mixing, having only 2 notes at the arpeggio, and sometimes adding a third, but not
Okay.
very often.
Okay. All right. So a couple of notes. Da 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 da. You know, that's. You can also just do da 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 da. Which also matches. Yeah.
All with the rainbow.
Yeah. That's really good. Anna, what were you doing? Stop. Stop. These are all ideas. The deadly thing to do is to do it in such a way that it starts to sound like the melody. Okay? Because if you start getting very busy, then guess what? It looks like you've hijacked the melody from the melody player. Okay? All right. So Laurel, if you could take the melody here, and who else wants to try something? Anybody? You want to try something? Okay. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 1.
Does it sound like an effective line?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's a busy line. Da 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 da, and so it starts to sound like almost like a counter melody when it's like this. Can you play something that's like it? Good.
I was gonna ask, what if you just play one note when she's doing one of those, and when she's doing the time after?
Try it. Try it. Try it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Sort of scale instead. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, that's really good. So what she's pointing out here is this is one way you can distinguish between like hijacking the melody, but like playing at the same time when you're doing a bunch of arpeggios, and make it sound more like a conversation. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, I hear you. Da 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 da. And you taking turns with these things, and then the long notes that are happening is more like I hear you. Got it. So it sounds like a conversation that's happening that way, more if you put them in different places. Okay. So I have played many times with a woman who does lots of arpeggio runs all the time. Whenever she has her chance to take the harmony, that's what she does. That's her default thing to do. Okay, and it's served her very well, but I always feel like it's become the melody. Okay, and that to me is the thing that I fear about doing arpeggio-based harmonies all the time. So how do you stop from doing that if you're going to use harmony?
Just pick a couple of notes out of it.
Yeah, leave some notes out. I think your idea over there, Sarah, was great, where you left one of the notes out of the chord, so it wasn't just a da 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 da, but it was just da 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 da. And you also made it light, so you used dynamics to keep it so it was not very much happening. I mean, after a while, if you're just going da 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 da, there's not much happening, right? And so you're not going to be noticing it because it's kind of like, oh, after it first starts happening, it starts becoming a subliminal thing that's just happening and it's not new. And your attention will go back to the melody where your attention really should be. So that's an idea, using fewer notes, like what she did. Were you thinking of something else?
No, just when I'm playing a chord, like all the notes are there, so I can just pick a note or two out of that chord.
Right, okay.
Or more.
Yeah, exactly. Just using some voices which just are using fewer strings. Right. Yeah, great idea. That's one idea. What else? Any other ideas? Yes?
Replace some of the notes in the arpeggios with 8 rests. If you're playing 8 notes, replace some of them with rests.
Can you illustrate that?
So instead of like...
Can I get you to play the melodies here? 1, 2, 3, 1. You're making your own little syncopation too in the process.
Yeah, because there's da-da, rest, dot, rest.
Okay, great.
So
That's right, yeah. Cool. Okay, other ideas? One of my favorite things to do is to think of this music in really long phrases, okay? And I'll just tell you because we're getting close to out of time, okay? So if you think of this da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you do not have to play a harmony line throughout that whole phrase of music. Okay, so let me just sing something. Can you play the melody? 1, 2, 3, 1. I have. When I do this, you can actually build a lot of excitement by getting more and more busy towards whatever you're going to consider to be the climax of the tune or the high point where you're going to. Getting things busier and busier and busier always helps, and you open things up when you're not near that point to set up that counterpoint. Yes?
It can be helpful for me when I'm playing a duet as part of the conversation, rather than if you're going to do like the one that you played where you just play arpeggios the whole time you have the harmony. if you play arpeggios very softly when the melody has something interesting, and then you make them louder when the melody has something less interesting, or a long note, or a rest, or whatever.
You can, but yeah, here's the problem that we've run into with everybody having onboard mics.
Right.
Okay, super hard to. I mean, it balances out all the instruments.
Yeah.
You know, you used to be able to work the mic, and I know a lot of people who still do this. I'll have a fixed mic. You do this, you know, because she's playing piccolo. And my gosh, if you're standing the same distance with the piccolo mic as from everything else, it's going to be, you know, you'll have ears bleeding on stage or something. So Carrie is always working the mic, but a lot of people who are fiddling now, they don't have that capability of backing off because you got their mic is there. And even when they're playing what they call soft, it's not really that soft anymore. So there's a danger. You'll feel like even if you're playing something kind of quiet but busy beneath the melody, it will start to sound like the thing rather than the supporting role. Okay? That's my own personal feeling about it. Okay? Is this kind of coming together? Yes. Making some sense? Okay, so I can get you some ideas. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you another handout. Okay? And this other handout has got the ideas that we talked with today, plus a few more, and we'll continue working on this piece tomorrow with some more ideas, okay? But if you look at the key for this thing, it's got things like WPO1, WPO2, wallpaper idea number 1, wallpaper idea number 2, a whole bunch of different staffs, bars of the tune, and so every other line down is a different idea, many of which we've gone over today, but not all of which, and we'll get to the rest of it tomorrow. If you have any more questions about what we did, just bring them and we'll talk some more with this piece of music tomorrow. Okay? Cool. You want to just, for fun, play a little bit before we get out of here? We have a few more minutes. Try out different ideas, whatever ideas you want to try. 1, 2, 3, 1. Da, 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 da.